I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Kinga Wangdi from the Royal Society for Protection of Nature, Bhutan, to talk about their community-led Phobjika Valley project, where the locals have taken it upon themselves to promote and conserve the biodiversity and culture of their valley. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Kinga Wangdi.
Hello. Hope all of you are awake. As the anchor has rightly mentioned, normally it's very difficult to keep people awake when your presentations are just after lunch. So I was very thankful to the organizer here today. It was very good that you had a very, interactive session after a heavy lunch, So that I hope, as Anchor mentioned, I hope that activity helped me keep you awake. But nonetheless, my presentation, as already introduced, it may not take long. Actually, I have a lot of slides to share, but I was strictly instructed to keep within 15 minutes, so I have to live within that time limit provided to me. Well, thank you so much. Once again, I would like to thank the organizer, Outlook, for having me here and giving me this opportunity to, share the experience that we have from Phobjika. Before I start with my experience sharing, I would like to, very briefly introduce my organization. My organization, you all, yesterday over the dinner, we were having some conversation with the colleague from India and Afghanistan, as well as, from Nepal and others. And we were saying that people are a little confused about my organization. Today here we have a house full of tourism experts, who are working with tourism and all kinds of things relating to tourism. But my organization, as you may come to know about, is not all about tourism promotion. The most important, focus that we have is the environment conservation in Bhutan. As you all know, Bhutan is already known for good environment policies. Environment conservation activities are very active, and as it is, Bhutanese are very sensitive to environment. So yeah, with this, I will briefly introduce my organization. My organization name is the Royal Society for Protection of Nature. It's a small organization. It's taking some time, sorry. This is the outline. Before I go to the introduction of my organization, my presentation outline, I would like to briefly introduce RSPN, introduce to Phobjika. That is the focus area for today, my presentation today here. I will also talk about the community-based sustainable tourism, we call it in Bhutan. And, there are various names being called to this program. Some call it community-based tourism. Some call it urban, rural-based tourism, but for us, we choose to call it community-based sustainable tourism because this is coming from the community themselves. I will also highlight little issues that we have learned over the period of time while implementing this program. We have come across some issues and challenges. So very briefly, I will touch on the issues. And of course, there is no question answer session. I'm sorry for that Q&A session. Yeah. This is the logo of my organization, Royal Society for Protection of Nature. In between, you see two birds. That is the black-necked crane, with which we initiated our program way back in 1987. So we are all 30 years old now. So we have recently celebrated 30 years in conservation. My organization was established in 1987 under the royal command of 4th King himself. He is a very pro-environmentalist. He has been, rewarded with a lot of environmental awards for being very sensitive to environment, and he has been the main proponent of all the gross national happiness in Bhutan. At the same time, he has been focusing so much on environment conservation in Bhutan. We are registered in 2010 under the Civil Society Authority of Bhutan. Before that, prior to that, we didn't have any entity looking after civil society organization, so we are registered under Companies Act of the Kingdom of Bhutan with a special clause on non-profit entity. So our focus mostly, we try to complement the royal government's effort in conservation. This is our vision. As you can see, I would like to also, share what my king, our king of Bhutan, used to say. He always used to say that we have not inherited the environment from our forefathers. We have borrowed it from the future generations. So as it is, we have to hand it over to future generations. As much as we have the right over the environment we have, our future generation do so. So therefore, our vision is for future generation, we want to provide an environmentally sustainable society for them to live in. And this is our mission, to inspire individual responsibility and actively involving them in conservation through research, education, as well as livelihood opportunities that we are providing. So under these livelihood opportunities, we work on the community-based sustainable tourism. Yeah. So where do we work? Obviously in Bhutan. We are not going outside Bhutan because we are the national organization. And the yellow square one is the headquarters in Thimphu, and then the green one is our field office in Bhutan. So we have in the east, south, and the central. And Phobjikha is next to the yellow square box. So Wangdi, where you can read, this is a political map of Bhutan. Okay, our focus, I will not go in detail about our focus, but we have 3 pillars, 3 main programs at RSPN: conservation and sustainable livelihood. We have environmental education and advocacy, and then biodiversity research and species conservation. These are our main focus. And as you can read, there are a number of activities being implemented under this 3 main pillar program that we have at RSPN. Tourism, I will, as I am instructed to talk only about Phobjikha, I will not really dwell on the tourism sector in Bhutan. So, this is just to give an outline. Tourism is one of the most important sector in Bhutan, under the service sector. As you can see, in 2016, we have over $73.4 million as a contribution to GDP from the tourism sector, which is a very huge proportion from the tourism sector. So with this brief description about my organization and the tourism sector in Bhutan, I would like to welcome you to the key area for today. Welcome to Phobjikha. This is the signage you will see on the way to Phobjikha. This is the signage put up by the Phobjikha community themselves. You can also read that CBST group. This is the main coordinating group in Phobjikha. This coordinates all the CBST program, of course, under the guidance of my organization, Royal Society for Protection of Nature. This is Phobjikha Valley. I don't know how beautiful you may look at it, but to me, this is a paradise all the time. Because I work there, I've been there for many times, and I work there, so I always want to be there. And this, as our preceding earlier presenters has mentioned, this is a common pool resources we have in Bhutan. This belongs to the community as a whole. This does not belong to any individual. This belongs to the community themselves. So therefore, we are promoting tourism. As a tourism destination in Bhutan. Taking care of this common pool resources, we have this group already formed. So this is the Gante Phobji Environment Management Committee. This group is the custodian of this common pool resources in Phobjikha. They take care of this whole resources, social, culture, economics, and everything. It's been taken care by this group. Without this group's consent, nothing will move in Phobjikha. Again, this is Phobjikha. We have natural resources intact. This is one of the tourism resources we have. This is beautiful Phobjikha Valley. The green, white valley you see is a wetland measuring, 2,227 hectares. And recently this has been declared as Ramsar site and brought to the international highlight to conserve this area. This is also the largest wintering ground of black-necked crane. We have number of black-necked cranes arriving. I'm sorry for the typo. The figure is quite wrong here. We had 504 black-necked cranes this winter. This is black-necked crane. Yeah. I don't know whether you have seen this, but this is a majestic bird. We have so much respect for these birds, and the communities are even more respecting this bird. Because of this bird, communities are working so hard to prepare a very enabling environment to welcome this bird. So every winter we get no less than 500 birds in Bhutan. And they are flying from Tibet. And I'm pretty sure that the Indians, you also have birds in Ladakh as well. Next one, we have very diverse flora and fauna. Flora and fauna, these flowers, of course, you have to be on right time to see these flowers. And to see black-necked cranes, you have to be there sometimes in October till March mid. So you will see black-necked crane. The flowers, of course, it starts flowering from April till June. You will see beautiful flowers. Even towards the autumn side, you will also see a lot of flowers, wildflowers. These are all wildflowers, and of course the leopard. You will not sight it that easily because that is not a zoo, so it's also dangerous to go and look for the leopards in the wild. So these are purely wild leopards. Yep. Culture and festival, needless to discuss, as Bhutan is a landlocked country, isolated by so many mountains, and we are landlocked. Therefore, every small places have their own culture and festivals being organized within their community. So there are a lot of festivals organized by community themselves. So these are one of the important tourism resources that we have. And the left lower one is the Black-necked Crane Festival, which is hosted every year by the CBST group in Phobjikha. And on 11 November, coinciding with the birth anniversary of the fourth king of Bhutan. So therefore, this is getting very popular internationally. So this year alone, during the Black-necked Crane Festival, we had around 700 international tourists coming solely for the Black-necked Crane Festival. That is just for 1 day program. We received 7. And then just to highlight, in 2017, October till December, we had around 7,000 visitors in Phobjikha. And then communities. We have very supportive communities. They are helping us, conserve the environment in Phobjikha. This is not in the paddy field or not in their farmland. It's in the wetland. They are preparing the ground for the black-necked crane's arrival. Normally, this is organized sometimes in October. So our communities from Phobjikha, they go to the field and they go to that wetland. They prepare the roosting area for black-necked crane. This particular area is being used by black-necked crane to roost at night. These are some of the community members, trying to build bridge for themselves, and that is basically to, conserve the wetland that we have in Phobjikha. Otherwise, these farm tractors are using it as and when, they are cruising through all parts of the wetland, and there's a lot of chances that they might destroy the wetland altogether. Therefore, the community themselves, they initiated, having a designated route for the tractors to ply, and at the same time, wherever possible, they are building bridge and other development activities are all coordinated through the community themselves. Yeah. This is one important aspect that I highlight every time, and most of you must have been to Bhutan, and this is part of Bhutan. You see a lot of stray dogs in Bhutan. And even in Phobjikha, you have a lot of stray dogs. So our communities are trying to reduce the impact of stray dogs on the black-necked cranes. That is the main tourism resources that we have in Bhutan. So this is the sterilization campaign, organized by a community with the help of the livestock department in Phobjikha. So even the monks, from the monasteries are volunteering to get the dogs sterilized. The main objective is to reduce impact on black-necked crane by reducing birth rates. Environment-friendly development, I think we had a very short discussion yesterday over the dinner as well. RSPN, my organization, is one of the organizations we have been always advocating for our environment-friendly development activities taking place in Phobjikha. So this is the electrification of Phobjikha wetland. the Phobjikha community, so it was all underground. You will not see any, overhead cable going through valley. So this is solar project, solar home light system initiated from RSPN, and these two ladies, these are ladies by the way, these two ladies are the trained technician for, maintaining the solar lighting system in Phobjikha. It was way back in 2005-6 times we have initiated this, and still people are using it despite they are connected with grid electricity. So with all these efforts, we wanted Phobjikha Valley, it's still looking like this, and we want to continue to make this valley look like this for all times to come. So you will not see any overhead cables flying through the valleys, and mainly because we don't want cables to obstruct the flight of the crane as well. And at the same time, we do not want to also destroy the scenic beauty of the valley. These are some of the very important initiatives that we are taking in Phobjikha. So therefore, with all these resources intact, in 2003, I think this was typo again, 2003, we initiated community-based sustainable tourism. Initially, we called it ecotourism program, and then later we renamed it to community-based sustainable tourism with the objective. This is the objective which you can read. Our main objective is to conserve the valley, at the same time provide some livelihood source for the community themselves through tourism. So, as I mentioned earlier, after having all these resources intact, we initiated capacity building program for the communities, mainly to gear towards, promoting Phobjikha as a tourism destination. So these are the community people being trained. You will see some foreigners there. These are the resource persons we have invited. Some are from Japan, some are from Vietnam, and we also have our partners. Sorry, I've been reminded of my, time. Sorry, these are the photographs. The upper one is the community-based tourism group members, and then lower one, these are also a capacity building program where, people are trained on homestays and other things. This is homestay we have in Phobjikha, and the lower pictures ones are the activities that you can do, These are the rooms. We also have the food and how people live as a homestay member when they come in. Local guides, we have trained so many local guides, so they are actively taking part in the program. We also have local activities, with the communities. They can do a lot of activities, dancing, horse stone bath, and then going around the valley, knowing about the valley, what they do and all. So local activities, we can have basket weaving, playing dart, archery. These are some of, and then this is bicycling, which we can very well enjoy. Phobjikha as it is a very good place for biking. If you are a biker, if you love biking, you should go to Phobjikha at time. Nature trails, nature activities, we have long trails as well as short trails being developed. So if you at all plan to go to Phobjikha, please don't miss this. These are very interesting and breathtaking, I would say. These are some of the souvenirs that we have developed by community themselves, and they sell it. That's how they make some, income from the tourism. These are the issues. I will not really get into all the issues, but definitely, as discussed earlier this morning, the garbage is one of the major issues that we are facing. And then we also have a lot of encroachment into the wetlands because of a lot of resorts are coming in, and then wetlands contamination. These are some of the highlight issues that I have. So because in the interest of time, I think I will not read through all the issues. Yeah, these are our partners. We work with the ministries till the communities. And then the roles of the partners. Let's do it. And these are some of the brochures and pamphlets that we have developed to promote the CBST program in Phobjikha. Manuals and output. We also have a homestay manuals, which has been developed by RSPN, and now this has been adopted as a national guideline for homestays. Yep, thank you so much. And I think I forgot to introduce myself. I am Kinga Wandi. I am working as a Conservation and Sustainable Livelihood Division head. I am heading this division. And if in future, if you come to Bhutan, please contact me. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Wangri. We wish the Pobjika Valley project and RSPN more success in the future. Well, from the beautiful hills and valleys of Bhutan, we'll now dive into the wonderful world of marine management off the west coast of India. Please welcome Pooja Mitra from Terra Conscious, which is making thoughtful dolphin watching a possibility in the overcrowded, overstretched Goa. Ladies and gentlemen, Pooja Mitra.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Outlook, for giving me this opportunity to be here today. It's been an extremely enriching morning hearing all the wonderful examples and stories and insights from all the experts and practitioners gathered here. And my story is fairly new. I've only been doing this the last 6 to 8 months in Goa. But I'll take you through what I've done so far, and I hope you find some merit in it, and we can always catch up after the presentation if you have any questions. So primarily, I work on community-based conservation and responsible marine tourism in Goa. So my issue is something which is not creating a new product, but actually looking at transforming an existing livelihood that grew out of the marine life that Goa has. So Goa has a very extensive wildlife watching industry, but it doesn't think of itself as a wildlife watching industry. It's sort of a mishmash of a party boat and a dolphin sighting, which is incidental. And unfortunately, that number has led to it being almost 400 operators in the north alone, and a lot of opportunistic operators from along the coast, then in the south. And this is obviously having an impact on the species and on the habitat. And when I started looking at it, I began really trying to understand why is this gap there. People are going out to see this dolphin, but yet the entire image of this activity is just party and having fun. And which is also what you can do when you're watching wildlife, but you don't have to do it by dancing on the boat. And I have some examples of what the current scenario looks like. Also, I think Goa has had this party and beach image for so long, and it's so entrenched that even the policy that is made in the state, the way the state looks at tourism, it's almost as if it's just feeding into that same image. But Goa is part of the Western Ghats. It's a global biodiversity hotspot. It has, most people are unaware, but it has 2 species of whales and porpoise. Whales, dolphins, and porpoises are collectively known as cetaceans. So we have one dolphin species called the humpback, which you can see in the picture there. And we also have the finless porpoise. We have 2 species of otters, 2 species of turtles, a species of crocodile, a coral reef, and all this within just 101 kilometers of coastline. And why I say that policy also needs to look at tourism holistically is that Goa is planning a 51 million ton coal port. It has mining. It wants a 100 cruise ship terminal, while also being able to sustain scuba diving, wildlife watching, and all of this. And I don't think it can all happen if you want to put everything into 100 kilometers. So as experts have mentioned earlier in the day, prioritization is key. And that's something we are hoping to highlight through our work, that this is what we have. This is our resource. This is our heritage. And this is where our attention needs to be, and not trying to make the coastline everything. The other picture is of my colleagues, Konkan explorers, who are also here today. And they're also representing the marine space. So yay, for the oceans, at least we've got like some representation. They're also shortlisted as a candidate for tonight's award. So it's in all the partying and the noise and hullabaloo on the beach stretch, there are these beautiful, pristine pockets where we work. And we're trying to keep it that way. So we work in the Shapora Morjim biozone. It's a olive ridley nesting site. It's a river mouth, and it's got dolphins, and it's a beautiful part of the coastline. Not changing. So this is a video that we've just taken of footage in Goa of all the underwater life. It has audio with it. Yeah. These are all the species we find. Some with footages as recent as this February. picture of the finless porpoise is a file photo. They're very hard to spot in the wild because they don't have a fin. You barely see them break the water. So the focal species that I work on is the humpback dolphin, and it's the dolphin watching industry in Goa that I'm trying to make some sort of a dent in. And the idea behind starting Terra Conscious was to really wake up people to the fact that we have this incredible marine biodiversity right off our coastal waters in the most popular, irresponsible, tourism-filled state. And that unless we as the customer start to look at that and respect it and ask for that, there's no motivation within the state, either from the operator or the authorities, to pay attention to this and to protect it. Another important thing about these species is that they're coastal dolphins. They live their entire life within 2-3 kilometers of the shoreline. That's 35 to 40 years that they live. They don't dive deeper than 20 meters. They can't hold their breath more than 8-10 minutes. And unfortunately, their habitat is the busiest part of our coast. That's where all the action is. These are Schedule 1 species. They have the same protection as the tiger. And whereas nobody questions why we need to regulate action around tigers, because of the consistent messaging around tigers that has existed for so many years in India, when it comes to the ocean, we aren't having conversations around how do we regulate activity around a protected animal that doesn't live in a protected area. Because Goa doesn't have any protected areas, and you can't even. These are animals that have 100-kilometer lengthwise home ranges and 2-3 kilometer wide home ranges. So you're going to have a problem trying to control. So the only way to do it is to change the way we are engaging with the species. So just to give you a picture of what the current dolphin trip looks like in Goa when you go, it's also priced at 300 rupees, out of which they give 200 to the agent, 100 rupees maybe the boat guy gets to keep. And that's ridiculous, because anywhere in the world you go to see a protected cetacean, you're paying at least $80 upwards. And here you're paying not even, $5. And therefore, there's no value for that trip. There's no incentive. They've tried to, because they've allowed uncontrolled competition, you have 400 operators who all go in a queue system. But because you're not supporting them with marketing or incentives or any proper content, they have to just grab tourists off the road or go with agents or do whatever they can. So there's no incentive for them to change. Why would there be? Even if they try to give information, they still can charge only that price. They still can go only in one queue. So the whole system has been developed with sort of this exponential growth in mind, without really thinking of what is the quality of experience we're offering the tourist. Sorry. Can I have the tourism video, please? And because it's priced so low, they start to play music and serve alcohol and do other things to get more money. And you can imagine, if Goa's tourism looks like this, and we have coastal dolphins across the country's coastline, every other state will start doing the same copy-paste model, because Goa is the premium tourism, or at least it's still trying to hold on to that tag in India. The other problem with this kind of dolphin watching is obviously that the animal has no focus in this trip. Everybody is just drinking and dancing, it's unsafe. And that leads to also people disposing the bottles and everything into the water. This is something we've collected from an underwater cleanup. So this is all on the reef. So at one hand, the state wants to promote scuba diving, and they want to say that, oh, Goa has all this. And on the other hand, you are telling people to get into waters that look like that. So there's no quality of ecosystem that we are trying to maintain. So this animation is very simple. Do I just press it here and show it? Okay, so when the humpback dolphin comes, they feed in the river mouth. So they would just go directly. This is the most populated dolphin watching bay. It's called Singkerim, and it joins in with the Nerul backwaters. But now when the dolphin appears, this is actually GPS points we took on different boats when we went on surveys. And this is how they do it. They just chase it. So the animal is just spending the entire day from 8 in the morning to 6 in the evening that the trips run, avoiding the boats, which means it's not doing anything else properly. It's not hunting, it's not resting, it's not socializing, it's not nursing its young. And over time, this stress will reduce its reproductive health. It's going to move it away from that habitat, and we're going to lose this species that we are committed by law to protect. And of course, once your apex predators, that is your dolphins, disappear from your coastline, it causes something we call a ecosystem collapse, and all your other fish species will start to disappear, which affect other livelihoods like fisheries, your seafood, which brings people to Goa. So it's all, all our fate is sort of linked in with our ecosystem surviving. The other thing that boats do is surround them, and they don't put off their engines. Dolphins use sonar, and they communicate underwater using whistles, squeaks, and clicks. This is very important in how they communicate with each other. And if you constantly are interfering with that, with your engine sound, then all you're doing is panicking the animal. So what happens when you do that? So I also started a monitoring network, which I run with the lifeguards. Goa is quite lucky that way. It has 600 lifeguards across the entire coastline. So we started something called Ocean Watch, where we train the lifeguards and the forest department on how to monitor wildlife and report it and deal with strandings. And in the last 6 months that we've run it, we've had 37 dead animals, dolphins and turtles. And this is what the state is promoting, it says it has, and this is what is the result. And this is what happens when you don't take care of your tourism. You will end up with your biodiversity disappearing in front of your eyes. So that's where we come in, looking at all these issues. So our way was to identify a bay called Morjim, where we have 8 community operators who decided to partner with us. I had a conversation with them. I said, will you try doing it with guidelines? Will you try, doing some content for the guests? And they said, okay, let's give it a shot. So we started doing it with them. We created these few experiences, the ethical dolphin watching safari. We did some experiential programs for students and for anyone really who wants to learn about the marine biodiversity. We did trainings with the boat operators. We started following the Dolphin Smart guidelines, which are pretty simple. You keep your boat parallel, you put off your engine, you don't chase them. These are internationally accepted guidelines. We began advocating for better policy, so we just show up at every meeting, and I've got my video, and I try to put it up, or I harass the captain of ports, or anyone who will give me even 5-10 minutes, and I'll be like, this is what we want to talk about. And collaborating with like-minded ethical operators. Believe it or not, Goa has a lot of people who still care about the environment and they want to make a difference, and we are trying to form a collective and ensure that it's responsible tourism that gets the thrust and not this age-old party, casino, take what you want kind of tourism. And of course, doing outreach and awareness. So we've done infographics, that's some photographs from our training. And we do a lot of outreach in schools, and basically wherever anybody will call us, we do cleanups on the trip. There's the Ocean Watch program. And I thought better than my speaking about whether the program's working or not, maybe we can hear from our partners themselves. Can I have the first boat operator video, please?
पहले के हम लोग कस्टमर ले गए थे, वो पानी में कूदते थे डॉल्फिन के सामने.
There's subtitles
अभी तो वो नहीं
also.
है. उनका भी जो सिस्टम है वो हम लोग उनको बोल के अभी एक किया. फिर जाते थे ऐसे, तो डॉल्फिन ऐसे दिखाते, कुछ बोलते नहीं थे पहले हमको. हाँ ये डॉल्फिन है, कैसा उनका बिहेवियर क्या करने का, वो तो पहले हम लोग को मालूम नहीं था. जब अभी पूजा मैडम ने आके जो रूल फॉलो करने को बोला, वो अभी कर रहे, उसमें हम लोग को बहुत फ़ायदा है. जैसे कस्टमर भी बढ़ गए और थोड़ा डॉल्फिन को भी तो हमसे हेल्प हो रहा है. जो हम लोग कभी कोई कस्टमर आए तो उनको बोलते हैं हम लोग प्लास्टिक नहीं उड़ाने का पानी में, ज़्यादा साउंड नहीं करने का, ऐसा ये सब कुछ हम लोग बोलते हैं. तो जो डॉल्फिन पहले हम लोग दिखाते तभी उसके नज़दीक जाते थे हम लोग, अभी नज़दीक नहीं, उनका 48 का है, उसके दूर रह के हम लोग दिखाते हैं, तो अच्छा तरफ से दिखाने को मिलता है. अभी के ट्रिप में हम लोग पूजा मैडम ने जो सिखाया और दिखाया हम लोग, तो अभी हम सैंड बार के ऊपर जाते हैं, वहाँ से सब कस्टमर को बस हमारा सीगल्स बर्ड्स है वो दिखाते हैं, काइट ईगल दिखाते हैं, बाद में पूरा गार्बेज क्या है प्लास्टिक वो सब निकालते. ये अभी के ट्रिप में, पहले के ट्रिप में हम लोग कुछ नहीं करते.
The second video, please.
हम मतलब जा रहे थे, मतलब 1 घंटे का ट्रिप दे रहे थे, लेकिन जाने का फास्ट करते थे. और एक्चुअली ना मतलब पहले का ही बोलता मैं, हम नज़दीक डॉल्फिन फिर भी फास्ट बोट चला रहे थे, मतलब उनको डिस्टर्ब कर रहे थे। अभी पहले से और अभी में बहुत डिफरेंट है, और मेरे को तो मैं सच्ची बोल रहा हूँ, मेरे को बहुत सीखने को मिला रियली। और हम ऐसा प्रोटेक्ट करेंगे ना उसको, तो आगे हमको हमारे बच्चों को भी डॉल्फिन ट्रिप करने को दिखने को मिले। उनको ना बहुत प्रोटेक्ट कर सकते हैं हम, मतलब जैसे डॉल्फिन 150 मीटर दूर दिखा है तो पे जल्दी अपना मोटर स्टॉप करने का, और अपना कस्टमर भी देख सकते हैं इतना दूर से।
हाँ।
इस ट्रिप में ना पेट्रोल भी सेफ है, टाइम थोड़ा चल गया, कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं, लेकिन ऐसे तो हम पूरा दिन इधर बैठे एक भी ट्रिप नहीं होते। लेकिन ये ट्रिप में बहुत अच्छा है, टाइम भी ज़्यादा हुआ कुछ नहीं, लेकिन डॉल्फिन को बहुत सेफ है ये।
हाँ।
मतलब अभी और एक मेरे को एक्सपीरियंस है, पहले ना ऐसे ट्रिप करा थे, किसी ने अभी तक नहीं बोला था, तो अभी ना एक दो कस्टमर से मेरे को बोल दिया उन्होंने कि ये ट्रिप पहले का ये इधर ट्रिप अच्छा है। मेन थिंग इज डॉल्फिन को सेफ रखना, ये ट्रिप करा दे, ये सब ऑपरेटर बहुत अच्छे है, सेफ कस्टमर का अभी हमको गुड न्यूज़ मिला है।
So that's a small start we've made, and I really hope that we can take this forward and replicate it in different bays which have not yet gotten that commercialized or we have that many operators. And the aim is basically to build awareness about our oceans, about our coast, about our marine biodiversity, and ensure that through sensitive trips which are inclusive, where the community moves along with you, they are earning more from these trips now, and they are seeing the change in some ways, and I hope to continue that work with the support and encouragement of a like-minded collective. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pooja. Well, I know while there are many coastline adventurous enthusiasts sitting in the room who are doing their bit, but it's such a long coastline, we really do need more and more people like you to protect it. Well, we travel east now to the country of gorgeous gossamer textiles. With us here today is Rafiqul Islam Mithil from Ajmer, who runs community-based stores that highlight crafts and intangible cultural assets of Bangladesh. And this afternoon, he will share his experience of working with a community of weavers in Tangel who protect the rich traditions of handloom and the syncretic culture of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Mithil.
So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. May be peace, blessing be upon all of you. So, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, this is Rafiqul Islam Mithil from Bangladesh. The name of my company is Ajmer Fair Trade Tourism. It's my pleasure to be here on behalf of my company. Thanks to Outlook, of course, for having this wonderful opportunity. Basically, I'm here to share our experience on behalf of this man, Mr. Shahid Hussain Shamim, the founder of Ajmer Fair Trade Tourism. The journey was started in 2002 when an UK-based company, Tradecraft, offered Mr. Shamim to run a tour with their senior citizens, which they call Meet the People Tour. Fortunately, it was the innovative and new idea in that time in Bangladesh. So fortunately, Ajmer have got the stage, and so it has become the pioneer of community-based tourism in Bangladesh. Later on, as it was very special, Mr. Shamim started to engage the other communities with his activity through training and workshop. So these are the training we used to give our community. Just mention one thing, storytelling, or we also train them how to tell history to the tourists. Then gradually we move forward to other activities like food and nutritional security, women empowerment, community-based tourism, of course, safeguarding intangible cultural heritage. It's the most important part of our activities. Research and knowledge sharing. Currently we are working in 4 locations. These all are mostly textile and craft-based community. There are two community, which is ethnic community. The core values we have, the company is originated from the fair trade practice, as the name says, Asia Fair Trade Tourism. Responsible tourism mean to us, we believe it has to be in both ways, you know. As a tourist, you have to be, make your tour very impactful. I mean, it has to be positively impactful for you. At the same time, it has to be impactful for the community. From our side, what we used to do, like we send a pre-tour questionnaire to our tourists so that the norms and code of behaviors they are supposed to follow. Our motto is to provide organic food to our tourists, but we are struggling for it. In one location, we have succeeded. In other 3 locations, we are just not meet yet. Safeguarding intangible cultural heritage, what we believe due to urbanization and global pressure, the community people is also adopting the changes, you know, so they are forgetting their intangible cultural thing, like traditional food cooking system, like the unique and very innovative life-saving knowledge of our midwives, which we call daimas in Bengali. Also, the agro-based seed keeping system, these are the thing, or these are the intangible practices that are in danger. So, from our point of view, Asia is struggling to safeguarding these intangible things by providing them with some benefit out of their activities. Let's see how do we operate. It seems very simple, but trust me, in reality, it's not easy to connect the people with your activities. Initially, we do our awareness activity, aware our community, then engage them in a maybe professional way. Formation of TDMC. TDMC is Tourism Development Management Committee. It's the main responsible and accountable committee in the operation level. Then we provide them with training. These are the training we used to give them. After having this training, we believe they are ready to operate. How do we operate? Tourism Management Committee, as I said, this is the main, this is the committee which is responsible and accountable in the operation level. They fix the, you know, food menu, they set the itinerary, and also the daily activities which tourists gonna perform, it's set by just TDMC. To have a sincere and friendly environment for our tourists, we engage and train, we just provide training to our rickshaw pullers, CNG drivers, food vendor, local souvenir shop, and tea shop owners as well. Revenue sharing is the most important motivational thing to keep the community in the activities. So in our case, it's almost fixed to share our revenue in proportion, like 20% goes to TDMC, that we call Tourism Management Committee. Other 60% having for the community, and 20% goes to tour operator. Ensure local benefit. How do we ensure local benefit? We follow some principles, like we try to follow the principles of buy locally. For conduction any tour, the required things, we want to buy it, and most of the time we buy it from the local market. Directly connect local artisans with the tourist. 3-layer security system. We follow 3-layer security system during conduction of tour. First layer is given by the homestay facilitator. Second layer by the community and the TDMC. And the third layer, of course, by the local government, maybe in civil dress. These are our partners. Let's just avoid it as we are in short of time. These are our foreign partners. Recently, Asia have been declared as first community-based tourism village in Bangladesh by Ministry of Civil Aviation. These are the pictures where to develop regional cross-border tourism, Asia in partnership with Asian Confluence arranged and attended in the Nodi Fest 2002. It held in India. Now, the impact of community-based textile tourism by Ajiar in Bangladesh, the impact is our story. The impact is the visibility of our textile. The impact of engaging community. The impact is, like experience the lifetime homestay with local community in identifying textile. And you can have the, real experience how to keep good quality agro seeds. The impact is like planning organic farming, daily livelihoods of the villagers. You can have the experience of natural dye, understanding weaving and other crafts. I have some pieces of, textile that developed by our community. These are very unique pieces. In this jamdani, can you just help me? Excuse me, Anyon, can you just help me? Like this piece is, here you can just see the 13 motifs of Dhaka Jamdani. It's difference in, can you just, difference in one motif is there, another is there. It's all around is 13 motifs. The all motifs of Jamdani that possibly woven, that's all are in this piece. There is another one. It was awarded by the World Craft Council International. Can you just have it? This was developed by our community people. So these are our story mainly. There are some others, so in short, we couldn't display all those things, but I can show you later, inshallah. These are the challenges we are facing. It's not different. It's same as others. Now I want to end my speech like showing you on video, just very short video. Can we have the video, please?
Left hand, right hand.
thanks to all of you for having your sincere patience. Thank you.
Can we have another round of applause, please? Thank you so much, Mr. Mithil, for taking us through the clickety-clack world of possibilities, a world where fair trade and authentic experiences are given. And now for our final case study, and for that we swim down south to the island of Sri Lanka, which has always been, I think, future forward in tourism. And one such project that combines conservation and true luxuries is Vil Uyana in Sigiriya. And to talk about the immersive experiences in Vil Uyana, or translated into the Garden of Lakes, I'd like to invite Mr. Jude Kasturi Arachi, Director of Jetwing Hotels, who's come here from Sri Lanka. Please put your hands together for Mr. Arachi. We know you've had quite an eventful trip to Delhi, but we are very, very happy to have you with us.
Let me start by saying, Ayubowan, may you live longer. My presentation will be in these things. One is, as she said, the second one is on Vil Uyana, a property that has won a lot of publicity for what they have done. And the first one would be overlooking sustainability from a company's point of view. We have been in existence for the last 44 years. And there is about 33 prestigious properties that we own and operate in and around Sri Lanka and overseas. And we are responsible for creating spaces and pioneering discoveries as a sense of brand, promoting responsible tourism, and then practicing it right from the beginning to the end. There are, how do we see sustainability as a company? I think these areas are quite common for you. We focus on these areas, and in the other couple of slides you can see what our approach has been and our rate of success has been. In some areas we have been strong enough. We have been working very hard on it. In some areas we have to work hard in the future. Just to go through, the 5 pillars that the sustainability strategy focuses is energy and carbon, sourcing and production, water and waste, biodiversity, community and culture, and family. I think if I am to talk about the thermal usage of in the industry, thermal energy is a vital aspect in the energy consumption, and right as at now, most of our all our boilers are running on sustainable cinnamon wood that produces steam or hot water. And if you take the industry, a central air conditioning system like this will cater around 40 to 60% of the electricity bill. Our main focus, as I told you earlier, is on the 5 key areas. And we have been the pioneers of using cinnamon wood. As you all know, Sri Lanka is very famous for cinnamon, world-class cinnamon. And we are the first to identify cinnamon wood as a sustainable crop. Cinnamon wood is harvested twice a year, and there is a lean period from about November to January, where we use the sawdust or the copper briquettes. So what you see on the right-hand side is the vapor absorption chiller. Now these conventional chillers run on electricity. And as I told you earlier, it accounts to about 40 to 60% of the total electricity, which is huge. And our strategy has been to implement vapor absorption chillers using steam. And how does the steam being produced? It's been produced by burning of cinnamon wood. Yeah. Sorry about that. And we also have implemented solar PV. Solar PV, there are two types. One is used for solar thermal, and other one for solar PV. And right now, the installations in and around our properties go up to about 3 megawatts. And the largest multiples go on the 300 kilowatt plants. These are all ground mounted or roof mounted at site. And if you say the 300 kilowatt plant supplies about 30 to 40% of the requirement of energy in a property where for about, say, 100 rooms. Next slide shows this shows the carbon footprint of each property. And then here, what we have taken is only the main properties, just to show the carbon footprint of each property. And if you take the totality of the carbon footprint, it amounts to about 10,000 metric tons of CO2 emission per annum. If one may question, why are these heights different? Because it differs from property to property, because in some cases it's over 100 rooms, in some cases it's lesser number. We also, the wastewater is 100% recycled in all our properties. And then what we do is we use it for gardening, and lately we have been using it for the cooling towers, which is about 20% of the total consumption. We thrive on a strategy of zero waste out. In most of our properties, the waste is recycled at site, and there are three methods that are being used. We use a traditional composting method and window type batch method, and the solid waste goes in for a very successful biogas digester, where all the food waste goes into it, and the methane content of it is about 65%, and the CO2 content is about 35%. And the gas that is being produced is used for supplementing the kitchen and the staff areas. Biodiversity and awareness, the low-risk conservation sites. Actually, I'll speak more about it on the Villuena presentation, and creating of wetlands. And in the earlier this thing, it was spoken about the dolphins. The southern part of Sri Lanka is very, very famous for dolphins. Community outreach, I'll talk more about it, the success rate of the JYDP, Jetwing Youth Development Project, which started off at Villuna. We have our own bottled water plants in the company, and as much as possible, where possible, we have our organic farming. That is mainly where there's a lot of property. Going on to the next, this thing, Jetwing Villuna. It's in the central triangle, in the central cultural triangle, 5 kilometers away from the iconic Sigiri Rock, 36 luxury dwellings integrated into a wetland in 28 acres. How did this idea come in? It was inspired by the wetlands in London. Abandoned marsh or a paddy land was converted into a wetland. So in the two photographs you see onto your corner the before and after. These are some of the pictures. It has taken about 4 years for us to build the hotel and do the reforestation, and 10 years of operation. Environment-friendly design, where a lot of local material is being used, and if you see, the roofs are attached, and most of the dwellings are surrounded with water bodies, which actually creates a 2-degree difference of temperature among the surroundings. As I told you earlier, the kitchen waste and the other things that have been recycled, 100% of the wastewater is being recycled. And this is one of the unique things. You can see the figures. In 2015, the species, 12 mammals, and in 2017, this is totally inventarized, and birds, 29 species, and 138 in 2017, and butterflies, 2005, and 43 now, and the amphibians and reptiles, from 3 it has gone up to 33. So this is what we have done, how we have conserved, and then there is this booklet that is being done. I have brought some of the copies, and it's in display. It's free of charge, so I have given it to Neha. You can, whoever who's interested can take it and go. It's called Wildlife in and Around Jetwing Villuna, a photographic guide to animals and flowers. It's fairly comprehensive. And then this sort of thing, we, in the future, where wildlife and other these things are there, we are trying to promote this sort of booklet as a sort of education. If you read through, you will know what slender loris is. Again, this is in the property. There's a special booklet that is being done on slender loris. And as of now, it has created a huge impact. And most of the tourists come in to see the loris and other species that are there at site. So this book is also published, and most of the wildlife lovers love this. The loris trail is a must to see in the property. What I'm trying to tell you here is it can become a business model. So you can see from the trail what we have earned, and as at 2017, it is becoming more and more popular because of the awareness that has created. And down below, you can see the comments down below you can see the comments from TripAdvisor. I'll elaborate a bit more on this. This JYDP Jetwing Youth Development Program started off with Villuana 10 years back, taking youth in school leavers, mainly from the area, in and around the area, and training them in skills. First 6 months they are given training free of charge, and on successful completion, most of them have been taken into the hotel. Now, this is a model that started 10 years back, and it has won the PATA Grand Award. And this model is practiced in all our properties. In the north, in the south, all our properties. And we are very successful in that. As you know, the country tourism trend is going up. So there's a scarcity for skilled people to come in. So this has provided an opportunity, and without no bonding. Yeah, if they want to leave after the training, they feel free to leave. With that, let me wrap up by saying thank you.